told the whites are superior. It is my people who told me, not a white man. It is my mom, my dad, my uncles, my community members, my teachers in Africa. Ask any Nigerian, ask any Beninois, ask any Togolese, unless they are lying. Anybody above the age of 50 knows in our folklore, in our music, we play it. Go and listen to Chalamanda. When I was a young boy, I want to go to America. They tell us that is the land of superior people. It's in my language, I can say it. Yovonudahe. Anybody who can understand Benin will tell you what I've just said, and they've heard it before. So when I arrive here, my people have already told me that white people are superior. But the things they have seen, airplanes flying, they said it's magic. Ships floating on the water, they said it's magic. Okay? So all these inventions, television came, that no, we say Yovonudahe. Anytime a radio is turned on and speaking, and they say the person is from far, Yovonudahe. When we see a toy that can walk, we say the white man is so good, it's like God. He has done everything but put blood in a toy. That is what we say in Africa. Everybody knows what I'm saying. Do you know what they say in Ashanti land? The Ashantis have a saying, and I can speak Ashanti. Oh, quite sorry. Now share bronia, kofie wahunyame. If you are going to church and you meet a white guy, turn around and go home, you sing God. So white supremacy was created by us to describe something we're confused about.
So you're saying black folks created that name white supremacy?
That's correct, from Africa. So white supremacy was created by us to describe something we're confused about.
So you're saying black folks created that name white supremacy?
That's correct, from Africa. From Africa, because we are just amazed by the things they've done. Well, we describe them always by inventions. When you take a toy and the toy is talking and it's moving, you're like, oh my God. Because yes, my people are not sophisticated. You know.
Why would we call a white person a white supremacist if, you know, well, I think it's because we were enslaved.
No, not. It is just observing the mere industrialization of their environment, which we haven't done. That's all. They can command water from far away through tubes into their bedrooms. We can even fetch a bucket of water from the next lake, you will be drowned. They can put electricity. We never had one in Africa. They have airplanes fly over us. It's amazing. Everything they've done is the reason my people say these people are superior, not because of slavery. They came to colonize us and they brought things we have never seen before. They gave a king a mirror and he was dancing and sold his people away. They brought guns we have never seen, boom, and killed somebody right away. You know what they used to do in the Congo? Right. They put dynamite in the rocks and then they hide the switch. And then when they point their fingers, go boom. And the Congolese, till today, they call the white man kiboom, the sound of the dynamite. And then they go down and they go like this. If they're not superior, why do you see every picture when a white man arrives in Africa, we bow into them? The Portuguese, in my own town, Gele, all of these people, as soon as the Portuguese showed up, everybody was bowing. We have never seen a gun kill a human being. We have never seen a mirror. We have never seen a radio tune in and somebody speaking from England, the Queen's voice. So for us, all these things, these people must be really superior and close to God. They used to have a joke in Ghana that when God said, let's pray, the white man opened his eyes. The black people were covering his eyes. So the white man saw how God created the world. That's why they are so good at what they do. And I'm telling you, these are folklores from which we grew up. If anyone told you that white people came to Africa to tell us they're superior, it's a lie. They never said that.
The FBA lie of white supremacy and why Africans, how we have become their targets. So when was this word ever, like, so there are two words, there's white and the supremacy, right? The supremacy coming from the Latin word supremo. Si habla español, va a entender. If you understand Spanish, you understand what I'm saying. So this is supremo in Espanol. The two words come together. And the first appearance in the English language was in the 18th and in the 19th century, so late 1700s to early 1800s. And it was actually referring to the British colonial domination. And it was actually made in reference to Cape colonies. That is today's South Africa, okay? That's the Cape, where the western coast of South Africa. It also was referring to the racial hierarchies. So if you look at hierarchical structures of race in the Americas South, which is the pre-Civil War. So you're looking at the states south of Northern Virginia. Anyway, so this is the earliest use of the term white supremacy. The earliest documented use, 1790, British colonial politicians used the term white supremacy to justify settler political control over indigenous Africans. Again, a lot of these things that these people claim in America still always traces back to Africa. Okay? Pre-European exploration, everything traces back to Africa. And even in modern times, traces back to Africa. Another reference to the term was between 1840 and 1860, when U.S. newspapers, so this is now in Americas, U.S. newspapers used the word white supremacy to demonstrate pro-slavery ideology in the South. Okay, so this was the other side, because the South is where a lot of this actually happened. This is where the cotton was farmed and a lot of the farming was happening. The North was more industrial. They were looking more towards industrialization, and they were opposed to slavery. 1901, there was a U.S. senator called Benjamin Tillman. I'm sure you guys have seen Tillman's name on certain highways across the U.S., especially on the East Coast. He openly defended white supremacy in speeches. This name is also the reason why some of the statues, especially in Northern Virginia and on the East Coast, that were named after Tillman, went through demonstrations for those statues to be torn down when Democrats had a lot of power in the U.S. So the term is actually originally literal. It was describing an intentional political system. It doesn't mean that it actually existed. It was just a political system, not really a structural concept that existed. In 2021, there's a book written by John McWhorter, right? And the book is titled Woke Racism. And the argument of that book, the modern white supremacy narrative operates more like a religion than an empirical emphasis. Okay, so this is in reference to the first appearance of the term and what it is today. And I quote, it says, the new ideology insists that white supremacy is everywhere and eternal. It is not a diagnosis, but a doctrine. Evidence becomes irrelevant because the belief itself is the point. So, kind of fictional, okay? Pretty much fictional, right? It's not something that you can actually feel or see, but you're told over the years and as you're growing up for you to kind of believe that it's there, some type of impediment to your success in America. And as you can see, that there's one black guy in the chat that is too sensitive about this before we even get to the point, because they know what this is. They know it's a lie. And I'll get a little bit ahead of myself. Okay, so black Africans in America make, I would say, there's about 4 million to 5 million documented Africans and Caribbean people in the US. So people that trace their ancestry to the African continent, 4 to 5 million people, okay? In a country that has 360 million estimated, right? Numbers are off, right? Estimated 360 million people, you only have about 5 million people. And of all these migrant groups, Africans actually the least. I mean, geographically, it's very difficult for Africans to migrate to the US. Most Africans migrate to Europe. They go back to the countries that colonized them because they tend to have family ties to those same countries. For example, if you're from Burkina Faso, the largest diaspora of Burkinabes and Malians and Senegalese will be in France. This is a fact. Okay? If you're from Ghana or Nigeria, the largest diaspora of these countries would be in England due to colonial ties, due to familiarity of the English language or French for the other groups. Same with the Angolans, they would go to Portugal. Cabo Verde, Portugal. Guinea Equatorial, Spain. Language is usually the first step in an African deciding where to migrate to, if that possibility is there. And secondly, colonial and family ties. America is kind of a new phase of migration, right? So that explains why there's not a lot of Africans in the US. And and if Africans in the US were struggling and they were on benefits and they were quote unquote assimilating with the native blacks that they found here, there wouldn't be any conflict. But the problem is that these Africans moved to the US thinking family first and not integration first. They come here for certain tasks and certain reasons. Some are education, to get higher education. Some come because a corporation or a company invites them. Some come through marriages to other Africans or to even Americans, white, black, Asian, whatever, right? It's a global world. When you have that familiarity with the globe, you tend to understand how people and the globe works and how people are moving. For certain, some are moving, traveling for business. Some are traveling for family ties, family reunions. Some are flying to do a scientific expedition. Some are traveling for charity. There's so many different reasons why people move from one part of the globe to the next. But what I've come to understand is that Black Americans haven't understood the dynamics of people moving. And I think this caught them by surprise, that these Africans will move to America, not cry with them, focus on their task of executing and providing for their families, keep their families intact, stay married, raise children in a nuclear family that doesn't exist in their communities. These are facts. You may not like it, but it's the truth, okay? And then overpower them economically, set up businesses like the Ethiopians, the Somalis, the Eritreans, sell them liquor and cigarettes in their own hoods while they've been living there, and not see the evolution of how these people have amassed so much power economically and now even politically. The upcoming mayor of New York, and I don't like the dude, I don't agree with him politically, but there I like it because he's African. You know, they might go, yeah, he's not. He's born in Uganda. He's African. In my book, he's African. Okay. The man they worshiped for many years, Barack Obama, father Kenyan. Okay. Post Martin Luther King, these guys have not been impressive. Okay. They've not. And in the fields that they dominate, basketball, music, the music is not good anymore. Okay. No, the black music is not good anymore. It ended with Jay-Z, done. It's not great. Amapiano is better. I think Afrobeats is better. So even in the fields that they've dominated, it's starting to look a little bit shaky. Basketball, the last two MVPs over the last 4 years have been foreign born. Jokic from Serbia, a white dude. Okay. Shea Gilgis Alexandra from Canada, Canadian. Okay. And if you go down the list, some of the best players, Luka Doncic, Giannis Antetokounmpo. Once LeBron and Steph Curry hang their boots, that basketball is even gone. It's like the things that they held on to, they're not even excelling at the highest level. And the things that they were not there for, like sciences, technology, engineering, and math, they're spending so much time on the internet, they're not even relevant in those fields. So me, I don't know about you, but for me personally, Black America has not impressed me. Okay, it's not impressed me. There's not been a prideful moment. Okay. A few years ago there was, but now I don't know. It really isn't there. Well, let's get back to topic. So these guys have used this metaphorical non-existent system as a point of reference, and the really fundamentally what they hate about us is that our existence in America debunks the idea or the theory of white supremacy. It does, because if white supremacy inhibits people so much, I wouldn't be an expert in my field. I wouldn't have a job. I wouldn't be able to buy a house. I wouldn't win a court case. You know what I'm saying? Like, let's go down the list. Okay, legal structure. This is what it was in the 1700s, right? Whites could vote, others couldn't. Well, that's no longer the case. Land ownership by race. Whites could own land, blacks couldn't own land. That's no longer the case. Law enforced segregation and control. Right now, if you have money in America, you can buy a house in the most whitest places that ever exists, because I did that. I lived in North Dakota, okay? I didn't have any black neighbors then, and I still don't have now, because now at least I got the money up, right? But even then, I didn't. So there is no racial structure that controls where you can buy property. You can buy property anywhere in America. You can even buy property in the most racist county in Utah, and you're still going to be able to own that home. You may not be able to live there or raise your children there peacefully, but at least you'll be able to buy it. And there are federal protections that protect you for you to be able to acquire that property. Okay. So our existence and our success in America really, really debunks this bullshit. Okay. There are no laws naming white dominance. The laws are pretty strict here in America, right? You'd be sued if you did anything based on race. You're just not going to be able to do it. The laws are firm right now. So what is their excuse? What is their excuse? And now you're more concerned about an immigrant that is in the US working hard to provide for himself, his family, pays taxes, is not in your spaces, doesn't do business in your communities. But because they debunk the whole narrative of white supremacy, you have to come up with terms like delineation, removing the most known features of you, your big nose and your big lips, and your curly hairs, and your acne. You're removing those and claiming to be Indians and Israelites. What's going on with you guys, man? Talk to me. Like, how can we help y'all? Because I really think you need to come home to your big brothers. You need to come home to us.